moving on to the next one. We got our Chicago Bears traveling to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. Wayne, who do you got this in this one?
Man, do I got a beer here or something like that or what? But man, this Bears team, let me tell you, I do not like the coaching that this Bears team has distributed here. So, whether it's Getsy or Eberflus or whomever, like the game planning this past game was atrocious. Getting DJ Moore 2 targets. You spend all this whole offseason, right? Kind of, you got him, traded that first overall pick, and he was included that part of that trade. Claypool, worst trade. I feel like we in Bears recent memory with regards to that, like, basically trading him for a first round pick. You could use some offensive line with that pick that we traded him for. So the only, I think, bright spot was probably like seeing Roshan and then Mooney as well. Justin Fields didn't have the best performance. Missed a couple of receivers. Again, his progressions, it's still not there. I don't think he's progressed compared to what he was last season, at least in his first game, albeit. So for me, it's kind of hard to cheer for the Bears or go for the Bears at this point. And the Bucks, they had a very team oriented win, I would say, this past game. Uh, so for me, I kind of have to go with the Bucks here, reluctantly in a way, but we sometimes forget that this Bucks team kind of has a lot of the talent that they had when they won the Super Bowl, albeit they don't have Tom Brady to go, but they still have Shaq Barrett, who's fairly healthy. He's at age 30, maybe slowing down a little bit, but he's definitely is a player that's able to create a pass rush. They got Vita Villa, it's like one of the best like run stuffers in the game there. So, if the Bears are going to be able to run the ball, it's going to be really challenging. And the Bucks also have really talented defenders there with was it David, and I think they also got White. So for me, it's just not a good matchup. I feel like too going against the Bucks here on the road. Baker Mayfield, he'll make enough plays, I think, with those big wideouts that he has. And then hopefully also on the defensive side for the Bears, they don't play as much soft zone defense because they don't have the personnel for that. Like they got big cornerbacks. Like why not, play a little bit of press coverage, I feel like. So that's just, bad game planning, bad coaching, not setting our team up for success. So for me, because of all that, yeah, I'm gonna pick the Bucks here.
It's a good pick. I was a little torn on this one. Like you're saying, I mean, DJ Moore not getting really involved at all on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, even the run game, I mean, to kind of as a combination of, three or four rushers to put up like, only a 4 yard per carry kind of average. It just kind of felt like they were just plodding along in that game. Yeah, I don't know what to really make of it just yet as far as, what the Bears really need to do, what identity they're trying to establish. Like, are they trying to go with the Arthur Smith approach to just running down your throat and this and that? But the thing that really, stood out to me, and I watched some videos that were circulating online, but, if they are going to go with a run heavy approach, they need guys like Claypool to step up and block and to be energized and to be into that kind of role. I mean, I know it's different for a lot of guys if you're just used to catching balls and kind of being in a pass heavy offense to be asked to block majority of the time, but that just comes out with like coaching, comes out with what's inside each player. Claypool was getting dogged a lot by Mike Tomlin in his final years in Pittsburgh, and maybe they were happy to just offload him for whatever they could get, and they got a second round pick out of it, and now we're looking pretty foolish because of it. So I think heart really matters in this sense, and we haven't really seen it yet in Chicago, even though we've really enjoyed this rebuild so far. But I'm totally with you on Luke Getsy and kind of you know we got to figure out what's going to be the right approach for us. But DJ Moore getting 2 targets after making that big trade, like that's unacceptable. I mean, we really need to modernize this offense. Get Justin a little bit off his feet here and there. I mean, try to find like the Lamar Jackson type approach with him where yeah, he can be a game breaker, but in the same sense like Lamar had to go through a lot of changes to really move that offense a little bit more in Baltimore. So um you know I'd like to see changes on that side of the ball, and then yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you're saying, Tampa Bay to me, if Baker Mayfield can just be a good quarterback this year, competent quarterback, they have a lot of team around him. I mean, I like their defense. Their pass catchers are pretty darn good. Like they've got a pretty nice stable of receivers there. The running game, we're not really sure just yet, but I think Baker's looking at himself too, like staring in the mirror and going, "Hey, if I just play well, I think we've got a shot to be, competitive in the NFC South at the very least." So, um, I guess all this being said, I know I'm kind of being long-winded to the actual pick, but I'm gonna go with Chicago, man. This one's hard for me, but it's like I feel like these teams are kind of on par to me. I know, week one, obviously worked out for Tampa. It didn't work out for Chicago at all, but I don't know. I just like to think that Justin, at the very least, has, the locker room. I think that he has the heart. I think he can play better football than what he, obviously showed in game one there. But yeah, man, I hope everybody in that locker room in Chicago, can do some soul searching here. I'd hate to see them start off 0-2 to kick off this year. I obviously have lesser expectations over the course of the year, but against a team like Tampa, where I think you should be kind of cleaning up, I think they win by a slight margin here.
Yeah. I mean, they got to, I feel like, because next week, I think it's Kansas City. So, like, I don't know. That's going to be a tough, and I think that's at Kansas City as well. So, that's going to be a tough road game there. So, that could potentially be 0-3 if they don't win this game. And it's like, all the trades, all the offseason transactions and such, right? All this turnover that we've had now, and continuity with our coaching staff. It's like, it's going to be on us then if it's gonna be on those coaches then, and Justin Fields, if they don't progress, and being 0-3, that's not gonna be a good foundation for the season for sure. So I would definitely want to win here. It's just it feels like we're kind of far off compared to I think how the Bucks played, but you know any given Sunday, a lot of different things can happen. Maybe they do realize that we do have DJ Moore out there. Maybe we got to pass him the ball. Um, I mean, it's like I don't know. It's pretty simple. Like we saw DJ Moore when he was getting the targets. He was pretty effective there. And then yeah, Mooney too. Like we didn't really go downfield. It was very much like screen passes, like the John Shoop days of Bears football. And it's like yeah, we get that wide receiver now for Justin Fields. And I was looking at some of the first games of those wide receivers, right, that we talked about for young quarterbacks out there. AJ Brown and I think Diggs, both of them come to mind. AJ Brown, first game he had 13 targets. 13 targets. Give him the damn ball. Diggs had nine targets there. Give him the damn ball. Like, don't overthink it. I know you got Jair Alexander over there or Douglas on him. Give him the damn ball. Like, pretty simple. So, I don't know. There was just dumb game planning, I think. Luke Getsy, my eyes on him. Like, you better show up, or you're gonna be gone by this season.
Yeah. One question for you and what you heard around Chicago, but a lot of backlash and kind of fan talk after the game was like pointing to organization. Like talking about ownership and like needing to sell the team or something like that. Like in week one, given everything, like what influence do you think ownership had on this game, or like what is it that fans are crying about in week one when it concerns upper management too?
Man, I don't know. I think because it's like the management, right? They definitely. It's like, are we just focused on the stadium in Arlington Heights, like trying to play that whole game at the city, or are we actually concerned about bringing a good football team to Chicago? And I think that's where sometimes there's that feeling of a disconnect where we oftentimes hear more news, with regards to the stadium and like, oh, maybe we are looking into the city and seeing if there's another option to stay in the city. But it's like, well, you already, kind of have the whole stadium out there or the land rights, right, for Arlington Heights. So why don't we just go all in on that, focus on that? So I think there's just a little bit of Like, where is your mindset on? Like, I know you can do a little bit both at one time, but like, get one of those things right first, and then move on to the next, right? So I think that's why, or that's just the overall feeling with where is this, kind of where the McCaskies set on. I know there's some respect for Virginia McCaskey, but like for the rest of the McCaskies that kind of run more of the day to day operations now, I feel like it's just, where's your, are you guys just focused on money basically? So I think that's where the sentiment is, and I think we brought in polling, I believe, in this in this past or the previous offseason, right, to get polls, and then also the hiring of Matt Eberflus. But it's like there's this sentiment I feel like especially after this loss, is like, is this the same damn stuff? Like losing to the Packers again? Like they just been owning us, and I think there's just that sentiment of like we're sick of it losing to the Packers, kind of the same old fashioned way, and it's like this team just has us, around our necks. Like they just have something against us. So yeah, just a lot of pissed offness, a lot of. I don't think I've heard like one radio station being any ounce of optimism whatsoever with regards to this showing. I think from the Bears, Justin Fields, definitely Luke Getsy, awful game plan, and kind of all those things. I think, and then it's like, man, again, the Packers, like, come on now.
Yeah. And on the flip side, like a lot of people point to the Green Bay organization as being just resilient, being strong, being able to make, tough decisions and always putting together, a solid enough team. I mean, they've had some struggles recently, and just kind of maintaining their uh, more or less dominant status in the NFC North. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think as we go through this year, I mean, again, my expectations aren't super high. I didn't love what they did on the defensive side of the ball in the offseason. I didn't love our draft. I liked it at the very best. So, we're still building on a nucleus. We're trying to figure out who's in that nucleus, because even if we get super excited about guys like Mooney, Komet, some of the running backs we're talking about, like we still haven't seen much. We still haven't seen what we need to see to be like, yeah, you're a bona fide starting tight end in this league, or yes, like you are a wide receiver too that we can depend on always. And it's always like a lot of name cachet, a lot of like name value that we see on paper that we in some ways kind of create for ourselves too, but they really got to start showing us a lot more. And winning games is another thing, but like really effort, energy, heart, we just haven't seen a lot of it in the last handful of seasons now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I feel like some of that has to do with coaching too. And a lot of people. I think I was talking with a friend today. It's at work. It was like, is this like Eberflus? Like, seems like a nice guy. Seems like a genuinely nice guy and everything like that. But in the end of the day, right, in this NFL environment, like we got to be able to win too. So you can be the saint, the mayor, and all that. Maybe not Chicago mayor, but you can be a mayor of some sort. But if you win, hey, that's great. Great personality and all that. That's all awesome. But I think part of Chicago too is like, we'll take an asshole for sure. But if you win, all is forgiven. All is forgiven. I think just the Chicago way of viewing sports teams and such. So, whether it be like an Ozzie Guillen, right, who's very verbose and such, or even like Mike Ditka, like he's just someone that's very vocal, no nonsense. Like we're definitely much more in favor of that if it brings the results of winning. And Eberflus is kind of just the opposite right now. And yeah, something's got to change. Something's got to happen. Hopefully they do make the adjustments. Give DJ Moore the ball a little bit more. So yeah, because the Bucks, they'll definitely be like, yeah, go ahead, pass the ball, Justin Fields. We'll cover the run, and I think that's probably what will be game planning for. So
Yeah. And on Eberflus, he may very well be a good coach. He might be a good defensive coordinator. He might be a good DB's coach, a linebacker coach. We don't know. I mean, I feel like he may get the most out of it out of certain players. I've heard he's pretty good at uh, kind of using a little bit of the carrot and the stick with guys. I mean, I know he's put certain like tags on folks' jerseys who aren't giving enough effort, and like has had debates with players, like allowing them to have voice and telling them like what they're actually putting forward. And I think the guys like playing for him. But when we look at coaches in the NFL, there's like a subset of coaches that are like borderline geniuses who are creating schemes and creating, playbooks that trump any of like the other 20 plus organizations in the league. And it's like, hey, Eberflus may be a good coach, but like, is that enough? Like, we need guys who are going to come in here and nerd it up and like really take this team to a different level creatively, that we've never been able to see in the Chicago, um, organization, because it's been just so, mired by mediocrity and kind of the same names just in the same seats for so long. And I'm glad they've started to drain that swamp a little bit, but again, like, there are only a handful of these elite type coaches in the league that are, finding themselves in Super Bowls and other things and kind of consistently, playing 600 type football. And, we're just not there. We're not, that just yet. But, hey, at the very least, I think we can pull out a win in Tampa. Whether it happens or not is another thing, but I think we're capable of winning this weekend.
Yeah, and I think the betting odds are kind of in favor of the Bears there. I think a lot of people are picking that under. I think yeah, the Bucks are favored at 3, so I do think that there's some optimism for the Bears bouncing back a little bit, or maybe pulling off the win here against a Bucks team who they've always been kind of known as like yeah they can be a really great team, kind of like or a team that grinds it out, has those great team wins, but or a team that commits turnovers, blows coverages and such, right? So this definitely could be, hopefully a win for the Bears and hopefully progression in the right direction for us.